All right, I'd like to thank the grace of heaven, the virtues of the masters, and the compassion and mercy of the grand predecessors, senior transmitters, lecturers, temple masters, everyone for giving me this opportunity today to talk about the Tao Te Ching, chapter 30. Okay. All right, chapter 30. Here's the overview. It's the title of the chapter. Well, title. Lao Tzu originally didn't have titles to his to the Tao Te Ching. Okay, this is just something that people, scholars or commentarists added. Okay, so just so that you know, it kind of talks about basic. The title is just what's the main theme, if you will, motif, of the chapter. That's basically it. Okay, so this one's called "Contrary to Tao," the Tao, or some commentaries call it "Foster to Spirit Nobility." Okay, all right. So it's divided up into 4 sections. First section, it's talking about what the ruler, the people who apply to Tao, okay, in advising the ruler would advise, okay, would not do, okay, all right. And second section goes into why, okay, why they would advise the ruler not to do, or not to, in this case, use force or domination. Okay, and the you can say the third section, or the second half, you could. It's basically talking about. Okay, well, okay. The second section is that there are 3 reasons. Okay, that that one who's following the Tao. Let's just say one who's simple. 3 reasons a person who follows the Tao would not use force or domination. Okay, and then the second half of the middle, or the third section, if you will, are essentially the just because you don't use force, or you try not to use force or anything to achieve something, for example. But let's say you have to. Let's say you have no choice. Okay, let's say you are in a corner. There's no other way. Okay, only if that's the case, then there are 6 reasons or conditions in using force. Okay, as a last resort. Okay, 6 conditions. All right, and then the last section is the conclusion. Okay, all right. So that's the overview. Okay, now let's go to the outline. Okay, so the first phrase, well, this is really the first line, the 3 phrases. Okay, so this is really the first section. Okay, so the one who uses the Tao to advise the ruler does not dominate the world with soldiers. Such methods tend to be returned. Okay, all right. Okay, this phrase, this word, 左, means literally, it means to assist. Okay, that's the verb, or to accompany, or as a noun, it's an aid or assistant. Or today we would say either assistant, advisor, or in the ancient well, it would be like a minister, okay, to a ruler or sovereign. Okay, and then this phrase, or these 2 characters, means lead. Okay, leader, ruler, king, etc., etc. Okay, all right. So the basic meaning of the first phrase, that's this, okay? All right. Means in the ancient context of monarchs, this would be a trusted advisor. Okay, a trusted advisor or minister who is applying the Tao or using the Tao to advise the king or emperor in governance, in ruling. Okay, another understanding in a modern time context. Okay, we are our own sovereigns. Okay, yeah, you are your own king or ruler of yourself. So we are also the advisor giving advice to ourselves in using the Tao while we're using the Tao. Okay, so that's it's telling. So one is external, one is internal. Okay, all right, meaning additional. If we study and practice the Tao, then the advice we give to ourselves is likely to be wise and effective. On the other hand, if we are unaware, just totally ignorant of the Tao, the advice we give may not be effective or wise. So it's like basically, I don't want to say you roll the dice or going with the current or what, but it's basically you are flowing with karma. That's another way of saying. Okay, all right. Further understanding, first phrase. Okay, the advisor to ourselves is what? Our conscience, which represents the Tao. Okay, it's also our conscience. Okay, so that's the internal meaning. Okay, higher level meaning, you can say. Okay, not just external. A wise advisor assisting the ruler in governing. I mean, yes, it also means that, but that's very basic. Okay, all right. So the deeper meaning of this phrase, or advising the ruler, if you will, okay, is we are kings or servants when that's we are kings of only when our true nature is our master. Okay, otherwise we're not. Okay, otherwise we are subject to what? Our six senses, six consciousness, and karma, right? Okay, all right, all right. So now let's go to the second phrase, which is this, or translated as this. Okay, does not dominate the world with soldiers. Okay, all right. Yeah, this word, it means soldiers, but it also could mean weapons, arms, the military, war, etc. Okay, this literally means powerful, strong. Okay, or to be forced, so you dominate. Okay, this verse we've seen before. This phrase, it means all under heaven or the world. Okay, so the basic meaning of the second phrase is, in an ancient context, it was usually a bad idea to rely on military might. Okay, strong. Okay, so it means you can be strong, but yet peaceful. And you have to be adept or skillful at diplomacy and forging alliances, not to rule by force. Okay, so that's what the second phrase would mean, not to dominate the world with soldiers. So that means you can be strong, but not domineering. You can be peaceful. Okay, so some people say peace through strength, stuff like that. Okay, all right. Another understanding is that in modern context today, modern day, we don't rely on intimidation, violence, or threats. The wise cultivator Tao is not weak, but also not aggressive, and has no interest in bullying anyone. Okay. because, we're following our Buddha nature. It's not the Buddha nature. It's not a Buddha nature trait, right? To dominate, to intimidate, to be aggressive, etc. Okay. So another additional one is if we study and practice Tao, then we will be able to apply the wisdom from Tao instead of, using force. Okay. Further understanding is our conscience will conform to Tao and will not tell us to use force to subjugate anybody. Okay. All right. So that's what. So there's an internal, external aspect, right, to these first two phrases. So the last phrase, such methods tend to be turned. Okay. What does that mean? All right. Last phrase. Where is that? Okay. Basic meaning. In the ancient context, a kingdom that attacks other kingdoms will eventually become the target of counterattack from the former victim kingdoms, right? Yeah, I attack you, you attack me, sooner or later, okay, right? Nobody, right? So payback, right? So that's what that, oh, by the way, last way, Huan. It literally means to come back, to return, but it means to pay back, to repay, all right? All right, so it means that, okay. So another meaning of the third phrase is, now, in the modern day context, an aggressive, for example, an aggressive person who tries to dominate others will create negative karma that will return as karmic retribution, right? Yeah, okay, so, all right. So further understanding, here it is. Okay, forceful methods have a tendency to circle back on those who uses them. Recall the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Matthew 7:12, right? Okay, that's what Jesus taught, right? That's called the golden rule. All right. Okay. Okay, so this is the positive or direct form. There's also a negative or prohibitive form. Then there's also a responsive or empathetic form of this, by the way. Okay? As a matter of fact, this notion, this concept of this, it's not just unique to the Bible, Christianity, Confucius, etc., but many ancient cultures, the Greeks, the Hindus, etc. A lot. Okay. All right. Middle Eastern, the Greek. Yeah, did I say the Greek? Yeah. Anyway, a lot. Okay. Now here's the deeper meaning of Huan. It just means this: to requite the like for the like, right? To requite the like, to pay back the like for the like. So that's karma. Isn't that what karma is? Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. So the deeper understanding of this line is, do not try to dominate others with force. What goes around comes around. Okay. Now there's an inner. Maybe I've left it out here, but this is an internal meaning. Is this? Is if our mind is not congruent with our conscience, right? So we do things. So we do negative things, for example, or things that, such as, in this case, would be to be aggressive, to dominate, to, use violence, etc. Then what's the payback? Well, obviously there's going to be karma, but there's something that's more immediate. It's what? It'll bother our conscience. It'll shake our conscience, right? Okay, so we'll feel remorse sooner or later, right? Okay, some people may not for a while, but our conscience will bother us. Okay, so that's what it is. Okay, all right. Higher understanding. Just like that, all nature and everything else function in circular-like ways. Remember chapter 25 talks about that, okay? All right, in the previous, okay? All right, among other chapters, the couple, 25 is probably the more recent one. Okay, so the implication is this. If we treat others unreasonably, then people will treat us unreasonably as well. That's the golden rule, as what Jesus said in Matthew. Also, there's it's called the silver rule, also known as silver rule of Confucius, which is the prohibitive or negative form. That is, what you do not want done to you, do not do to others. Okay, so it's a 己所不欲, right? 勿施于人. Okay, so that's from the Analects, book 15. Okay, all right, you guys can look it up. All right, it's also known as the silver rule, by the way. Okay, because it's called the prohibitive form. Okay, all right. The key point: during our actions, we must conform to the true principles. Then we will not suffer for our own actions. This will happen when we have our true nature or Buddha nature as our master. Okay, that's the most ideal. Okay, all right. Okay, so that's what the section 1's about. Okay, now we go to section 2. All right. Okay, so now this is the beginning, and he's giving reasons for what he just said in the first section. Okay, he said, the place where the troops camp, thistles and thorns grow indeed. Okay, all right. Now remember, in the first line above, okay, it's talking about that the Tao advisor that's advising to the ruler would advise the ruler not to use force, right, to dominate, to rule the world. Okay, all right. Now, this first word, okay, in the modern meaning, it means teacher, master, tutor, model, example, or person skilled in a certain. Okay, so 师父, right? 师父. They pronounce it as sifu, but in martial arts, but it just means a very skilled, a person skilled in a particular expertise. Okay, but in this context, of this chapter, it means something that has to do with military, with the troops, army. Okay, all right, that follows a leader, a general. Okay. All right, let's see, okay. Basic meaning, first phrase, the place where the troops camp is the encampment or bivouac of the military troops. When troops go on military campaigns, right, of conquest, et cetera, they head out, right? They march out, but, they may not reach the destination or front lines in one day, so they have to camp overnight. Okay, it's like that, right? In the old days, it's like that, right? Okay, so that's the encampment. Okay, all right. Now, okay, so this is external. We're talking about war, fighting, etc. But there's an internal meaning. Okay, 所处. Okay, the troop encampment is a metaphor for our hearts and minds, human hearts and minds. The place where the armies encamped is our heart and mind. Okay, so, all right, so it's also in our minds. Okay, all right. Another understanding, first phrase is the troop encampment is a metaphor for having malice or evil intentions in the heart or mind. All the emotions, passions, anger, courage, etc., that you are getting ready in your mind to either argue, dominate, or fight. It's like gathering an army in your heart and setting up camp. to prepare for battle. Just say in your heart and mind. Okay? All right. So that's also internal. So we also, within our hearts and minds, we have an army encampment ready to do battle also. Okay? All right. So it's also in our mind. Okay. Further understanding, the seat or encampment for our emotions, where the readiness and willingness for contention or use of force to dominate others arise. Place where you are gathering up all your energy to prepare for battle or contention. Okay, so that's internal aspect. Okay, now the second phrase, which is thistles and thorns grow in the encampment. Okay, all right. Okay, here. Yeah, this way, Jingqi, I think that's what's pronounced. It just means, anybody know what thistles, thorns, brambles? Anyone of that? You guys can look it up, but if you go to Wikipedia or dictionary, brambles are type of shrubs. They're shrubs, like brushes, shrubs. Berries, not all berries, certain types like blueberries, raspberries, blackberries are called brambles, and they are low shrubs, but their branches have thorns, spikes, to protect against animals eating their berries or leaves, etc. Okay, so that's what they are. Okay, so that means it's spiky. It's you could get stabbed. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. So that means it's it's not that safe. Okay, all right. So basic meaning of second phrase. While thorny undergrowth grows in the military encampment. Okay. All right. Okay. That's pretty basic. Another standing. There it is. Thistles and thorns are the metaphors for the self-damage that invariably happens when you harbor hate, malice, or rage in your heart and mind. Remember the three poisons? Okay. Okay. So it's within ourselves, right? Remember earlier, the encampment is our hearts and minds. Well, if we have a troop encampment, that is, right, wanting to do battle, right? A troop encampment is metaphor for malice, evil intentions, emotions, passions, anger, courage, all that. Okay, all that. Well, guess what? We're going to do damage to ourselves. Okay, and three poisons is one of them. Right, right. Hate. What was that? Greed, and hatred, and ignorance. Okay, so the deeper meaning of brambles or thorns and undergrowth is it's delusions. It's our delusions, our ignorance, our rage, resentment, hatred, greed, desires, arrogance, hubris, pride, all the negative emotions and passions of the heart. I should say heart and mind, but anyway. Okay. All right. That's the internal. Okay. So the additional meaning is thistles and thorns represent the obstacles and hazards where the troops will be hindered and hurt by the thorny undergrowth. That's the external. Okay. Just as your mind will suffer afflictions from the three poisons, negative emotions, feelings, passions, etc. Right? What they call pangs of conscience. That means, afflictions of the conscience. Okay? All right. Okay. Deeper understanding. There's nothing good in this. That is having an army in your mind, this troop encampment, filled with malice, hatred, anger, etc. Because malice or hatred can only bring about more of the same. That is bad karma in the form of karmic retribution. called the third phrase, right? From section 1, right? What, what comes around will go around. But the third phrase is, right? Such methods tend to be returned. Okay? All right? Karma. Okay? Etc. Okay? All right? All right. Deeper. Okay. Higher understanding is when you have this hatred or malice in your heart, you are already suffering and do damage to yourselves first. So it's first internally you hurt yourself, then externally or physically. Okay. Another standing. The Tao must always lead us toward peace. Okay. That means the way to handle negative feelings or emotions is not to suppress or deny them, but to transform them into motivation that empowers your cultivation and practice. That is, by maintaining a positive attitude and outlook, you can transform the negative energy into positive action. Okay, so this is you can say, summarizes, if you will, the art of cultivation, of our cultivation. Okay, all right. All right, that kind of summarizes it. Okay, that's the true art of cultivation. So it requires some kung fu. Okay, all right. Implication: do not be a hater. In wishing to hurt others, you will hurt yourself first. That which you do to or for another, you do to or for yourself first. Okay? What goes around comes around, etc., etc. All that, the golden rule, silver rule, etc., etc. Okay? All right. So key point. If we harbor malice and resentment in our hearts and minds, then we will hurt ourselves first before others. Harboring hatred, malice, or resentment in your heart, holding a grudge against others, will always be contrary to Tao. Never mind Tao, conscience. Okay. All right. Okay. As well. Okay. All right. So that's still, where am I? Okay. That's still section 2. Okay. So that's, okay. Section 2. Now the second half of section 2. Okay. Now he's, remember, giving you 3 reasons. Okay. So, all right. So, well, I'll summarize it up when I'm done. Okay. So, so this is the last, section 2. Okay. Section 2. Okay. Okay. Following the great army, there must be an inauspicious year. Okay. Okay, we know that. Okay. Okay. Okay, so basic meaning of the line is in the ancient context, this would be the aftermath results of a war, such as treating the wounded, burying the dead, rebuilding from destruction, so life could continue on, etc., etc. Okay, yeah. So, we all read or seen about, this in books, movies, etc., right? Whenever, after a war, right? There's a lot of death and destruction, right? So now we have to, people have to rebuild, right? So that's the inauspicious year, okay? All right. What does that mean? It just means that after a battle or war, there's suffering for the people. There's hunger, misery, no means of livelihood, no means to work and live in peace, to live and work in peace and contentment. So war is hell. So, just look at World War II, right? Just death and destruction everywhere, right? So it'll take a while to rebuild, right? To get back to where it was before the war, right? Same thing, right? More recent conflicts, right? You know, Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, et cetera, right? Okay. As a matter of fact, you could, well, it's still war ongoing, so it's still pretty bad. Okay. All right. So, all right. Now, what does that have to do with the modern context? Besides, okay. So this means conflicts never end well for any side. Not for the side that won or lost. There will be a period of recovery and regrouping with lingering resentment and hatred that guarantee the seeds of future conflicts will be planted. Yep. So what goes around comes around. Karma. So it's an vicious cycle, if you will, right? So for the side that quote unquote won, they can say, hey, we defeated the forces of evil, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So they can celebrate and toast and say, hey, you know, we defeated these bad guys. Okay. Okay. What happens is, so they think they won. Okay. But it's not lasting. That's the important thing. Okay. It's not lasting. Why? Because the side that quote unquote lost, unquote, yes, they may be defeated in battle for now. But what happens? There's still those who have lingering resentment and hatred that reside in the hearts and minds of those who, quote unquote, lost. Okay. So what's going to happen is in the future, those people, okay, then who still harbor that hate, resentment, etc., then will find another way to get back at you. So that's the vicious cycle, the seeds of future. Okay, that's why wars in general, okay, do not solve anything permanently. Okay, does not solve anything permanently. Okay, all right. Okay. So further understanding, in any conflict with others, there are no real winners or losers in the long run because there are still lingering emotions and negative feelings that still remain, which will be the seeds of future conflicts, right? So, okay. Okay. Next chapter, chapter 31, we'll go into more specific, okay, about this, okay? All right, so that's why chapter 30, 31 are closely related, okay? This is a little bit broader or intro. The 31 is a little bit more in depth, okay? All right, so that's why, okay? So that's why sages, superior persons, Tao cultivators do not resort to conflicts. Okay? All right. All right. Another perspective. Historically, we have seen how wars perpetuate over time. Right? That's, look at the Middle East. Okay? Many factions have been fighting each other for thousands of years. Okay? All right? Thousands of years. Okay? All right. At a personal level, we can also see how arguments or debates lead to cracks in relationships that widen the gaps, which eventually become too big to mend. Right? Yeah. So in today, among those of us who are not actually fighting wars, but we're also, I guess, engaging in ideological or emotional wars against each other, okay, such as arguments or debates, then that will also lead to breaking up relationships, right? family members no longer talk to each other, okay, or become enemies or whatever, okay, become strangers. And friendships just break up, etc., etc. Okay, all right, because of debates, arguments, etc., differences. Okay, all right. There's a deeper meaning of literally. This means big army. Okay, the definition here is great army. We call it a great army, main force, large contingent. Okay, troops. It's our minds filled with negative emotions and feelings such as anger, rage, hatred, etc. Okay, that's another what are the internal meanings. Okay, so the deeper understanding is this: when we still retain deep negative emotions and feelings in us, we will suffer as a result. Higher understanding, even after a conflict, both sides will suffer in the long run. Okay, even after conflict, the negative emotions, feelings, and emotions still will remain. Okay, so the most ideal is not to get into conflict, argument, debate, etc. in the first place. Okay, there's a story of a boy and nails. You guys can look that up. I think it's a famous story that Zen masters use. Okay, never try to use conflict in dealing with matters. That's the most important, thing to remember. That's what Laos is trying to emphasize. Okay, all right, okay, all right, because there are always negative effects. Okay, after a conflict, even you quote unquote have won. Okay, all right, because it's not going to resolve the issue in the long run. Okay, it's just a vicious cycle. Okay, all right. All right, now we're going to section 3. Now he's giving the you can say reasons. Okay, if there's no choice. Okay, so thus a skillful commander achieves, then stops, and does not dare to reach for domination. Okay, so this is the second half of the analysis section. Okay, section 3 in this section. Right, let's go to the basic meaning. A skillful person, such as a general in this case, right, or a leader, warrior, achieves a goal and then stops. What does that mean? Okay, so another understanding: skillful warriors use force only as a last resort to achieve their goal. Okay, only as a last resort. Further understanding: when skillful warriors need to fight, they use the minimum and then stop when the result is achieved. Okay, stop. Okay, okay. The deeper meaning is guo. Okay, guo means, you could say, result or consequence. It means a fruit too, but in this case, it just means result, consequence. The deeper meaning is it's just a good result. It's a good or achievement, okay, or success or victory in this specific case. Okay, so the basic meaning. Okay, now a second phrase is, remember, he goes, and does not dare to reach for does not dare to reach for domination. Okay, so it just means that skillful warriors do not dominate, do not want to dominate or subjugate others. Okay, another understanding is, in the aftermath of a conflict, the skillful person or warrior will not be celebrating the victory, but would be carefully reviewing their past actions in order to figure out how they can manage events better and avoid having to fight next time. All right, that's what a real skillful warrior would be thinking or doing. All right, even quote unquote if they have won. Okay, all right, all right, all right. Okay. So the further understanding is, to be in a conflict is bad news. It means that you have not succeeded, right? Deeper understanding: skillful persons or warriors achieve their results with a minimum of effort and stop once the goal is. Okay, so this is more generic. Okay, so you can apply it to, warriors or just ordinary people who, if we have to achieve something. Okay, but we don't want to dominate others in doing so. Okay. Okay. I understand. To the Tao cultivator, as well as skillful warrior, there is no pleasure, delight, or glory in defeating an opponent. Why? Because to have to fight someone means you have failed to make a friend. That is a real failure. So victory does not mean success to the Tao cultivator. Okay, very important. Okay. All right. So the implication is the ideal way is to achieve good results with the minimum force by not fighting against others, okay, or subjugating or dominating. Key point, having to fight is a failure of sorts. By not dominating others, skillful people will achieve good results and not lose the good results. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, now we continue further into section 3. Okay. Achieve the result, but does not boast. Achieves result, but does not flaunt. Achieves result, but is not arrogant. Okay, so these are he's further explaining, Lao Tzu is further explaining, okay, if we have to, in this case, use force, for example, to achieve a result, a goal, okay, but after you're achieving it, they don't dominate, that's what this previous phrase is, okay, then not only does he not dominate, but there are three no's here, okay? First phrase, after a result is achieved, that is, for example, such as victory from conflict, you do not brag about it, about the achievement of victory, okay? So the understanding is, yet after a good result, you should not boast about it in one's words. So this is in speech, okay? All right? Second phrase, basic meaning. After a result is achieved, you do not flaunt your achievement. Okay. Another understanding is having achieved result, but do not contend and show off. Do not endanger or harm people's lives. That's in one's actions. Okay. So words and actions. Okay. Third phrase. After the result of achieved, you're not arrogant about the achievement. Okay. So already achieved the result, but without displaying hubris, arrogance, okay, pride. That's mental, that's internal, mental state. So Lao Tzu is saying in our speech, actions, and our mind, these we should not display these things. Okay? All right. Not display, not have. Okay. So we don't say, we don't boast, we don't brag about our achievement. Okay. We don't flaunt. No, flaunt means, it means to display. Okay. All right. But show off. So that's in your actions and in your mind. In our minds, we don't have hubris, smugness, arrogance. Okay, that type. All right. Okay. So further understanding, line in the Tao, the proper attitude of any achievement after conflict is to be solemn, dignified, and serious. Remember the notion of gravitas, heaviness, 重 from chapter 26, reliable essentials, right? Right? Remember that? Right? Remember that chapter? Okay. Gravitas. Okay. Okay. Fully aware the damage has been caused. Now, Chapter 31 will also talk about a little bit more detail from a different angle, okay, perspective, that why we have to be solemn, dignified, and serious, especially after a conflict, or we say victory, okay? All right, deeper understanding. With this awareness, it will prevent the achievement from going to your head, so there will not be any boasting about the results, okay? We have to be aware, okay? Mindful, okay? Higher understanding. Arrogance is also not possible because you're aware that having or mindful that having a conflict meant you have already done something wrong. Okay. All right. So this is a very, very sober reminder that, if you need to go into a conflict, meant that, something's already not right or not. Okay. All right. Implication. Although the goals are achieved and there are good results, the skillful person does not boast about and flaunt or contend the results and has no arrogance. Okay? Okay, so it's in words, actions, and mind. Okay? Key point. In the Tao, one who achieved good results, such as a victory in a conflict, will not brag, that's the words, not flaunt the actions, and not be arrogant, that's the mental state. Rather, one should be gracious and humble. Very important. Actually, it should be deep. It should be gracious, humble, also solemn, and actually really sad. but that's okay. So chapter 31, we'll talk about more. Okay, a little bit more in detail. All right. Now we're in the near the conclusion. Yep, almost an hour. Okay, good. All right. Okay, we're in the last sentence of section 3. Okay, so he's giving him the last reason. Achieve result, okay? But only out of necessity. Achieves result, but does not dominate. Once again, okay, dominate from the first line, okay, section 1, okay? Let's see, basic meaning. Tao cultivators are reluctant to engage in conflicts, okay? All right, that should be, okay. Another understanding, out of necessity, and if there's no other alternative, does one engage in a conflict. So this conflict does not mean just war, okay? It also means argument, debate, etc., okay? All right? Okay, or contention, okay? Additional understanding, only engages in a conflict, contention, argument, etc., when one is cornered, has no other choice, okay? So second phrase, basic meaning, achievement, but that's not that. Tao cultivates do not use domination or subjugation to achieve results, okay? Another understanding, even if one achieves a good result, such as victory in conflict, there is humility. Actually humility, sadness, and sorrow too. Okay, all right. Further understanding. This is to emphasize the notion of peace and harmony of a Tao cultivator. Actually, of the Tao. Okay, that's what it is. The typical domineering posture of an achiever or victor is replaced with regret, gratitude, learning, and courtesy. Okay? All right. So you could say humility. Okay? All right. And you can say, regret, humility, actually sadness too. Okay. All right. Deeper understanding. Tao cultivators do not rely on force or domination to achieve results. Okay. Because, because maybe there's a need, okay, to reassure and counter people or, protect the people. It may be necessary to have conflicts, but only if there's no other choice. Okay. So that's the you can say the line, the red line, if you will, the line in the sand, that only if there is no other choice. Okay, if you cross, okay, that boundary, that line in the sand, then conflict may be necessary. Okay, okay. So it's a very limited, okay, case. Okay, so skillful people achieve result out of a regrettable necessity. Okay, but in the process of and after achieving the result, do not dominate or subjugate others. It's similar to respond to matters as they rise and return to stillness as matters fade away. Okay, same idea. Okay, we don't keep harboring that quote unquote victory or that achievement in our minds. Okay, all right. You just when matters come and arise, yeah, we have to deal with. We have no choice. We have to deal with it. But when it's done, then go back, return to stillness. Do not hang on to, oh, I achieved something, or, did this and did that, whatever. Okay. The key is this. The best is not to use force at all. And already having achieved the result, but by not using dominant means achieving the result. Okay. That's the most ideal. Okay. You do not use conflict to achieve a result. Okay. Use force. That's conflict. Okay. Well, contention, etc. Okay. All right. Now comes, we're at the conclusion. Section 4. Okay. Things become strong and then get old. This is called contrary to doubt. That which is contrary to the doubt soon ends. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. This just means things. Okay. Everything. Okay. 壮 means strong, robust. Okay. It could be a verb to make better, to strengthen. Okay. 老 literally just means old. Okay. Old, season. Okay. Okay. Basic meaning. Okay. In nature, all living things become strong and then die down or get old. That's what basically that's a material fact, right? That's scientific material fact, biological fact, right? Things, all living things, they become strong, right? As they, mature, right? They become stronger. But then what after you mature, you start aging, right? Getting old. Okay, get old. All right. Okay, so that's a biological fact. Okay. So another understanding is this applies to not just living things, though, okay, besides the biological, that attain the greatest strength of full maturity, which then results in the start of the decline of old age. But all things in nature as well. For example, a fire before burning out, especially a campfire. Those of you, who have gone camping, okay, as as the fire's burning out, before it goes out, it gets hot and bright for a short, brief instant, and then it fades. Okay. Example. That's a campfire. Okay. Stars. Look at the galaxy. Look at the Milky Way, the cosmos. Okay. Stars that go nova or supernova before dying out. Right? Yeah. Right. So our sun probably will not supernova, but because it's not big enough, it's not massive enough. But our sun will become will grow, as it's dying. Okay, well, astronomers or astrophysicists say that our sun is considered middle-aged, right? It's about 4 billion years old or something like that. Okay, probably less, a little less. I think it's probably. Okay. No, it's probably less. I think it's 2.5 billion or something like that. Okay. Anyway, our sun is considered a medium-sized sun, in a category of stars. What happens is, as it gets older, or before it quote unquote dies, okay, it doesn't blow up or become a supernova like some of the bigger stars, but what happens, it will become a red giant. It'll grow, it'll become bigger, okay. As a matter of fact, they say it'll expand in size, in diameter. It'll extend, I think, to the orbit of Mars or something like that. Okay, so it'll engulf Earth. Okay, well, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and probably Mars along. Then it'll die out. Okay, so this is nature. This is a fact of nature, not just living things. Okay, all right. Additional understanding: if things reach their prime, so literally means extreme point, they will start to decline in age. Yeah. Okay. So that's the cycle, right? Everything's in a cycle. Okay. Now, the deeper meaning of zhuang is to be extreme point, the zenith, the extremes. Okay. Now, the extremes can mean a lot of things. Okay. In human terms, it can mean extreme aggression, domination, etc., rage, greed, desire, lust, all that. Okay, it just means that. Okay, so the deep. Then there's a deep meaning of aging. It just means to be on the decline, the beginning of the end. Okay, all right. So all right. So further understanding is just like a person who is very aggressive and dominating will then suffer the negative consequences of his aggression and domination. Okay. Once again, karma, right? What goes around comes around, etc., etc. Okay. All right. Basic meaning of second phrase. Yeah. Okay. This is not the Tao. That's interesting. Okay, even though that's the natural cycle of things. Okay, this is not the Tao because this pattern of burning out is not something that lasts. That's why we say it's not the Tao. Okay, because it's not eternal. Okay, it's not lasting. For example, flash in the pan, a sudden and brief success that's not sustainable, repeated, or repeatable. Okay, so the Tao is not about flash in the pan. Okay, so if we are trying to conform to the Tao, then we should not but go for the extremes. Okay, become strong and then get old. Now, this is physically. Okay, now I'm talking about our mental side. Okay, or spiritual mental side. Okay, all right. Okay. All right. Here it is. Okay. Another standing second phrase. This burning out is transient, not lasting. That is contrary to the Tao. So what is then this Tao? What we say is the Tao? Because the title of the chapter, remember, the theme is contrary to Tao. It is like the mountain stream that is always flowing, steady and reliable. Okay, nothing dazzling or surprising. Okay, okay, but will continue on indefinitely. I think if you look at chapter 20, I think it's 26. Okay. No, sorry. I think it's chapter 28. Okay. Talk about that a little bit. Okay. 28, especially in section 1. Okay. All right. So just as a refresher, you guys should see that, take a look at that. Okay. All right. So basic meaning of third phrase is that which is contrary to the Tao will meet an early end. Okay. Now, chapter 31, we'll talk a little bit more about this too. Okay. All right. but this is more general in this chapter. Chapter 31 is more specific. Okay, understanding. If you act against this Tao, then you will meet an early demise. Throughout history, powerful empires have reached their zenith, decline, and collapse. Okay, we see that in every civilization, every culture. Okay, so it's not unique to one geography, one period in history, or one culture. No, it's universal. Okay, so that's why it's very. This is the true principle, the general principle. Okay, of the Tao. All right. Okay. Okay. Further understanding. Okay. We need to keep things from reaching its peak or prime. All things, when they reach their zenith to the extreme point, will have a consequence. Okay, so that's the, you can say, external, okay, the physical, in the physical dimension realm. Personally, in life, bullies just don't last. They will get their way temporarily or momentarily, bragging, flaunting, and full of hubris. But before too long, the negative consequences will catch up to them. This is a pattern that never fails. Okay, we see it all the time. Okay, deeper understanding. Something can only persevere or last when it has not reached its peak or prime. Then it will not decline or age, so it will not end. Okay, so another higher understanding is anything that reaches its extreme will not last. So that is contrary to the Tao. You don't reach extreme. So that's another reason why we, in Tao or Confucius, they talk about the middle way, or Buddha talk about the middle path. It's not extreme. We don't go for the extreme because the extremes do not last, because that's contrary to the Tao. Okay, so same idea. All right. Okay, so implication. If things have not reached their peak or prime yet, if there's still some space for growth, then they can last. So do not go to excess in general. Do not be full of oneself. Okay, section 4, chapter 15, non-overflowing. I talk about that a little bit. Okay, all right. So you can review, go back. So narrowing in, the conclusion is this. We need to emulate the stream that is continuous, steady, and reliable, not a flash in the pan. If you let things reach the zenith, things will age and decline. Then things will regress. Okay, that is called contrary to the Tao. Okay. Okay. I'm about 70 minutes. I just want to summarize very quickly. All right, just a couple key points. Okay, Lao Tzu gave 3 primary reasons. Okay, for how can I say 3 reasons that he's against, you can say, use of force or violence, okay, or domination, okay, all right? There are 3, okay? One is you create bad karma, okay? So that's here, okay? So that's what this says, okay? Create bad karma, okay? Second is there is self-damage, okay? What's the self-damage? Okay, self-damage is from here, okay? All right, self-damage, okay? And lastly, it hurts others, okay? So that's the 3 primary reasons why Lao Tzu or the Tao, or Tao cultivator or sages, superior persons, do not use violence. Okay, 3 reasons. Okay, now Okay. So here, this where the troops are encamped. That's a metaphor for our hearts and mind. And this where the thistles and thorns grow means negative emotions, passions, feelings, etc. of our minds. Okay. All right. Now he gave now, but suppose, this is very idealistic. Yeah, that, oh, yeah, of course, it's great to not use force. Okay, yeah. But in the real world, there may be cases, right? Circumstances, situations where force has, has to be used. Okay, so he gave 6 reasons or conditions for when you have to use force or you. Okay. All right. All right. So first is here. Okay. First condition, only out of necessity. Okay. So that line in the sand. Okay. That red line. Okay. All right. The second one is you achieve, but then you stop. So there's a limit. Okay. There's a limitation. Okay. There's a limit. Okay. Okay. So that means you don't dominate. Okay. Okay. The third condition is, right, you don't brag about it. Okay. Of the result. Okay. Okay. And the fourth is you don't show off or flaunt, okay, in your actions. So the first is you don't brag about, talk about it, okay, boast about it. And the second one, the fourth condition is you don't show off, okay, okay, display, okay, that's in your action. Then the fifth is in your mind, in our mind, we don't harbor hubris, arrogance, or pride. Okay. And then the last is we don't dominate or we don't subjugate. Okay, others. So those are the 6 conditions when you're using force. Okay, when you have to use force. Okay, that's it. Okay, I like to thank everybody. And if I say things incomplete or wrong, I ask for the Buddha's and Lao Tzu's forgiveness and everybody's guidance. Okay, thank you.